So I'm having a chat with Kris Barras. How are you?
Hello, mate. Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Very busy.
Good. Yeah, very busy indeed. And the reason we're having this chat is because you've got some new music on the way. But we've been playing a single of yours called Who Needs Enemies. What can you tell us about the track?
Well, that's actually one of our favourite ones to play live. I think it's all like the riffs. We all kind of do something in unison. It's just we all love playing that one. It's a song that was. You know, I actually started writing that one very early on in the process. It's probably one of the first songs I wrote, but then ended up getting rewritten about 5 or 6 times, and the name got changed. It used to be called Friends Like Enemies, and ended up Who Needs Enemies? And it's kind of just about, you know, a betrayal, someone that you thought you could trust, and they end up stabbing you in the back. It's that kind of scenario.
Yeah, excellent. And that's coming off a new record of yours called Death Valley Paradise. What can people expect to hear when they get a chance to take a listen?
Well, it's a little bit heavier than anything I've done before. I think there's a lot more energy. It's the first album I've done with this lineup of the band. There's Kelpie McKenzie on bass and Billy Hammett on drums. And when we all get in a room together, there's just, you know, even when we're playing some of the old stuff, which is a little bit softer, maybe a bit more bluesy or whatever, and everything just comes out heavier and, like I said, like more energy, more power. And I think that's definitely something that's come across on the album. I know every artist says it as a bit of a cliche, but I really do think this is the best album I've done so far. We got to work with a fantastic producer, Dan Weller, who's worked with bands like Enter Shikari, Monster Truck, and heavier bands like Bury Tomorrow and Hold Absence. And, you know, he really, really just took things to another level. He got what we were going for, you know, kind of a heavier, more modern rock sound, and he just took it to a whole other realm.
And was that always the plan for that to happen, or is that simply how the record turned out?
Well, I mean, it was the plan before we got into the studio, but with regards to writing the album, I initially started writing it towards the end of 2019. We just finished the Light It Up tour in the UK, and everything I was writing was just heavier. Everything was coming out heavier. And I kind of sat down with Josiah, the writer man in the band, and we were kind of like, look, this isn't really what we do, what's going on here. And I tried to write some stuff that was a bit more bluesy, and it just sounded forced, and it wasn't natural. And so I took it to the record label. I was like, look, I'm writing lots of heavier stuff. This is what I want to do. And they were just completely on board, really supportive. And then I kind of felt like I had free rein then, and, you know, I could just kind of go to town on it. And, so, you know, it's just unrestricted. It was exactly what I wanted to do. And, you know, I've always had a lot of heavier influences. Like growing up, I was in metal bands and stuff like that in my teens. So, you know, it's kind of good to bring out some of that influence in the album too. Well, obviously it's not a metal album, but yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And obviously we've been in a pandemic and quarantining over the last couple of years. How much of an impact did it have on this record?
Yeah, I mean, I think the album is very much a product of the pandemic. You know, it was a very, very tough time for most people. You know, I definitely had some dark times. I think some of the subject matters are definitely inspired by some of those times. And, you know, if I had to take a positive from it, it's the fact that I actually had time to sit down and write the songs. You know, I had such a hectic touring schedule that, you know, I wouldn't have really been able to really hone in on the songs like I was able to. I mean, songs like My Parade, I initially wrote the chorus to that on a plane coming back from Milan. I just played at the Milan Guitar Show. It was November 2019, pre-pandemic. And, you know, that song probably got rewritten about 6 times before we ended up with, like, the final version that we were happy with. And, you know, I just wouldn't have had the time to have done that if we were touring all the time, like what was planned. So, I think, you know, it's kind of made the album a bit darker with some of the subject matter, but I also think it's made it better because I really had the time to spend on it.
Yeah, then you've touched on touring, and you had the chance to be out on the road last year with Blackstone Cherry. You also had some dates with The Darkness. How was it being back out on the road after so long off?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, for me, playing live is what it's all about. That's the reason I started, you know, doing this in the first place. So, you know, not being able to do that for, you know, 2 years was really, really tough for me. And not even knowing this, it was all the uncertainty, not knowing if we were going to get to do it again. So once we finally got out there, like, it was amazing, you know, just, I mean, in the crowd, like, the crowd energy, because everyone's been in the same boat, you know, like music fans, you know, I'm a music fan first and foremost. I've missed going to gigs as much as I've missed playing gigs. And you really could, like, sense something in there. It was really good. Every night was kind of like a party, and, you know, it was amazing.
And you're back out on the road throughout March as well. I bet you can't wait to be back out doing another run.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a headline tour, so, I mean, this is our first headline tour in pretty much 2.5 years. You know, and support tours are great. Obviously, we get to play in nice big rooms and play to lots of people, and that's amazing. But nothing's the same as, like, a headline tour where, you know, people have spent their hard-earned money to come in and watch you. You know, your name's what's on the ticket. And, yeah, I think, you know, it's just, there's a feeling there, like, people, you know, everyone knows the words to the songs, everyone's singing along, and, you know, I just can't wait to have that.
Yeah, and we'll be heading into festival season sooner rather than later. What's your plans for festivals? Are you hoping to be on a number of bills this summer?
It's pretty quiet for us, actually. We're doing Wembley Arena with Thunder towards the end of May. We're doing, like, a music festival at sea, which is the Joe Bonamassa blues cruise. We're going to do a bit more of an old school set for that, tone it down, do a bit more bluesy stuff on that one. That should be good fun. But festival-wise, we've missed out on a few lineups this year due to, you know, there's a lot of rescheduling and lineups carrying on. Last year we got to do 3 festivals, so we're quite lucky. But this summer, so far, we haven't really got anything in. I know there was, you know, we usually do quite a lot in Europe, Germany and Switzerland and places like that. But this year in France, it's quite tricky to, you know, make any plans really, because they're all at completely different stages of coming out of the pandemic, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. And looking towards the end of the year as well, what are you planning to be in the diary?
There's stuff going on behind the scenes. There's nothing that's been announced or planned yet. So, yeah, there's not a lot I can say there yet. But hopefully with the response from this album, we've been getting fantastic response from the single so far. But, yeah, we're hoping just to be able to get back out into Europe, really. We were just starting to make some good inroads out there, and, you know, particularly in Germany and France and Poland and Italy. We're starting to do some bits, and it's just, you know, we haven't been able to keep that going. So it would be good to get back out there and see all the fans out on the continent.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Kris, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
Thanks for having me.